Hello, and welcome to another edition of One Bad Veggies Root Beer Review, where in this review we find out if the premium is on point. And I'm not really sure what that intro means either, but we're doing Point Premium Root Beer, which is a re-review, which I gave the original a pretty high score. Actually, if you go back to the blog, I've actually done it twice. Once I did it in 2014, 10 years ago. I did a review of it in 2014. And then I did another review of it in 2016 because they changed how they made their drinks. I believe that the original 2014 version had high fructose corn syrup, and then they switched over to cane sugar in the second one. And it got the same score either way, which was actually very high. It was a B for both of them. So I'm curious if this still stands up to that, because a B is high. So, things change, tastes change. We'll see. We'll see if it stands up. But for now, let's go ahead and just take a look at the ingredients. All right, so here's the ingredients. That should be popping up right there.
プレミアム
And so this is the third time, technically, I've reviewed this root beer. And I went back and I looked to see what the ingredients were. Now, the ingredients haven't changed very much in all three times that I've done it. However, it has changed in little ways. One of the big ones is they stopped using high fructose corn syrup, at least in the ingredients. Now, in the 2014 one that I reviewed and in the 2016 one I reviewed, I did notice that in both of them, they both label not high fructose corn syrup, pure cane sugar as an ingredient inside of both of them. This one just says sugar. And I've come to learn that sometimes a company using high fructose corn syrup will say put sugar on the bottle, even though it's not technically sugar. High fructose corn syrup is just considered a type of sugar. It doesn't matter that big of a deal, but it does make me curious about if this one will taste different again. Also, another big difference between the 2014 and 2016 versions is, the art has changed significantly over time, but ingredients wise, they listed vanilla as a flavor on the bottles. On the previous versions, it's not labeled on this one specifically. So I'm curious to see how that changes what it tastes like. Now, it's been a long time since I've had Point Premium Root Beer, but I remember liking it a lot when I had it. I'm just curious, because this is the only root beer that, I have a history with at this point, where I've seen it change drastically over time. I remember even back when I first started reviewing them, the first time I had IBC root beer, IBC was using high fructose corn syrup too. A lot of these root beers were using high fructose corn syrup until I think the craft root beer kind of craze kind of took over. Craft soda in general took over, and everyone started replacing stuff with real sugar, and which, obviously I think that's a good thing overall. But anyway, let's go ahead and crack this open and go ahead and get some of the scent. All right, let's go ahead and crack this open and get a little bit of that scent. I've decided, even if it is like a screw top open, I'm just popping it open with the bottle opener from now on. I was about to say it's a lot easier, and then I have a hard time doing it, so. Spilled a little bit, splashed a little bit, so this bottle's full, so that's for sure. All right, I was sitting here and I could already smell it, so it's already, I will say, for a root beer that I've given very high scores to, it doesn't smell like a root beer I'd give a very high score to. It smells very spice heavy, very licorice heavy, less on the sweet side, which is kind of more my thing. But super curious now, because like I said, I've given this one high scores in the past, so it maybe just tastes better than the scent does. I smell lots of things in there. It's actually kind of complex, but surprisingly, when I see that I've given something a high score in the past, I guess I'm assuming that I'm going to immediately recognize why I did that, and I don't really with this one, so that's very curious. Let's go ahead and get into the pour in the foam. So I will say, and of course we have our trusty mug, but I will say the last 2 times that I reviewed this, the foam on this root beer is ridiculous, like overflowing, kind of insane. So as far as that goes, I'm expecting a lot here, unless that's something else that's changed with the recipe. Who knows? But yeah, let's go ahead and check it out. Not as crazy as it has been in the past. Let's go ahead and take a taste of that until before it goes away. Interesting. Now, I will say it does kind of have that thing I've talked about in some reviews where it kind of has like a chemically taste to it. Kind of bitter. At first, it's weird. Kind of on the back end though, you get kind of this a little bit of sweetness and stuff to it. It's actually not too bad. Not too bad. Again, you know, we don't really drink the foam, but you know, it's like I always say, I like trying the foam because sometimes it unleashes flavors that maybe you're not going to get when you're actually taking a drink of it, you know, almost like a wine tasting sort of thing. But otherwise, it's interesting. It's so far I'm curious. I did notice on the bottle too, as I was getting ready to do this, it does say that it's using real sugar on the bottle. So I guess that kind of answers our question about the ingredients. The other thing that I forgot to mention in the ingredients is the fact that it's using honey, and I did look back at the older versions of the review, and I did notice honey was an ingredient in those ones too. So honey is fantastic. It's, you know, if everything used honey instead of sugar, I think we'd live in a better world. But let's go ahead and give this a taste test. Thumbs up. How to describe this one? I will say, first off, the first thought that comes to my head a lot of times right after trying these root beers is the aftertaste, because the aftertaste is a big deal to me, because a lot of different drinks or anything like that can just have a nasty aftertaste. This one has a pleasant, very, very creamy vanilla aftertaste to it, which funnily enough isn't like super apparent in the actual mix. I'm curious if the lack of vanilla being on the ingredients list has made an actual difference to it, but there's definitely some vanilla in there, or perhaps maybe I'm tasting the honey. I'm not sure. Either way, it's not a bad aftertaste. That's the first big point. My next thoughts are this tastes more, I would say maybe more complex than the older ones that I've had in the past, in 2014, 2016. Knowing what I know about what I like about root beer, I would say that it's hard to say without actually having gone back in time and trying those other ones. But there must be something different, because I'm not feeling a B from this one, because a lot of the flavors that I really enjoy are on the back end of this one and not really brought forward. Now, it's not bad in any way, shape, or form, but I'm just not feeling the same as I would about something that I would grade a B. Now, that said, it's because of the complexity, right? The things that I'm tasting that are brought to the forefront, which a lot of them are your normal kind of root beer flavors, like I've said before, like licorice, wintergreen, that kind of stuff. But it definitely airs, I feel like, further on the side of that than it does necessarily on the sweetness, but the sweetness is still there. This is gonna, I'm really having a hard time with this one. So I'm gonna go ahead and think about it, and then I'll come back with a letter grade. Sometimes I debate whether or not I should go back and look at the old reviews before I start a new review of something, or something that I've reviewed in the past and I'm re-reviewing now. Because I'm afraid maybe looking at it will give me false expectations or false hope of how something is supposed to taste. The fact that I had given this a B, not just once, but twice in two different configurations, really expected me to be kind of not blown away, because in the sense of our grading scale, a B is just an especially good root beer. One that's if a C is right down the middle and just good, a B is something that surpasses the expectations of just being good at what it does. Now, I guess what I'm having a hard time here with is that it doesn't necessarily meet my standards now, at least this version of it. And like, I'm so curious if they've changed the recipe, even though the recipe is literally different on the bottle. Who knows? Point is that I'm curious as to if the recipe really has changed that much, or if my taste has changed. You know what I mean? Because like I said, this is something that in the past I was happily able to grade it a B in the past. I don't think it's a B anymore. I think I'm gonna go with a C. Again, C is not bad at all. C is not bad at all. In fact, this is a very good root beer. It's just the flavors that would normally have to stand out for me to give it a B are kind of in the background, and the flavors that I don't usually enjoy are kind of in the foreground, but it still mixes well enough that I'm not like offended by how it tastes or anything like that. It's good. It's a good root beer. So like I said, I'm having, the only struggle that I'm having with it is just being like, why do I think this way about it? And it is what it is in the moment. Every review is happens right then. There might be a little bit of time between the taste test and the letter grade, but generally speaking, it's kind of in the moment. So maybe this is just not the best moment. And I'm saying all this in a way that makes you think that, oh wow, maybe this one's not very good. It's good. It's a good root beer. And go ahead and buy some. It's really good. It's a C. So yeah, C. So once again, that's it for this one. Go ahead and like and subscribe. And what's the other one? Comment? Yes, that's the other one. Do those things or don't do those things. It's up to you. You can live your own life. Just, if you like me, support me in that way. Other than that, I guess that's it for this one. So I hope you had a good time.